Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Welcome to another edition of the COMIT Happy Hour. We've got a great session for you today. If you've got generated data on your project, unstructured project data, then we can save you a fortune. So stick with us and hear how it happens. Hang on, slides frozen. Okay, so people ask me all the time, what is COMIT? What does COMIT do? Well, COMIT is a collaboration platform of owners, contractors, solution providers, and academia. COMIT has a long history of developing and running projects, webinars, etc., with a focus on increasing productivity long-term with better outcomes. It's only by being collaborative with all of these stakeholders that we can create value and enablement through process improvement, and by setting up and delivering all of those important demonstration projects. I mentioned projects. Watch this space for some project announcements in the coming weeks. We've got 2 projects in the pipeline that have kicked off. We're looking for participants, people to get involved. One of them is smart contracts. The other one is 5G/LTE-M. And we've several others in the incubator. If you want to know more, drop me a line. Okay, next slide. Talk about the questions. I must say thank you very much for all those people that sent questions in advance. That's very helpful. Some fantastic questions there. 1 or 2 people said they'd save the questions for the session. Brilliant. Bring them in, roll them in, fire them in, chat box, whatever. Yeah, don't save them till the end, although we have got a session at the end to do it as well, so great. So today's session, are you making the most of the generated unstructured project data to potentially save you millions? Now, to present today, we've got Hivemap, and Hivemap have assembled a panel of experts, and hopefully any questions that you've got, they can answer. And any that we can't answer today, any that come in late, we're happy to do afterwards, so please feel free. Okay, so meet today's team. We have Torsten, who you can see on the screen. Torsten is the CEO of Hivemap. We've got Matt, who's the CTO of Hivemap. We've got Paul, who's the MD of PWCom. Paul is an industry expert. And we have Nick. And Nick is a principal at Partners in Performance and also a Hivemap advisor. I'm going to run some quick poll questions, if I may. And there is no curveballs in here this week. That's what that graphic refers to. The poll questions are with simple multi-choice answers. They're very important, these, and we will use them afterwards. So give it your best. And here's the first one. How much do your time spend reading emails and reports on a daily basis? Is it less than 30 minutes, 30 minutes to 1 hour, 1 hour to 2 hours, 2 hours to 4 hours, or more than 4 hours? You should be able to see that on your screen now. Wow, we've nearly got 100% of a vote. Keep it going, just a couple more. Fantastic, and what a varied answer. Okay, let me, that's 100%. Wow, we never had that before, that's brilliant. Let me just close that out and I'll share that one. Can everybody see that? 10% less than 30 minutes. Well, you've obviously got things sorted out. 40%, 20%. Torsten, you got any comments, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I love that everybody replied to this question. I mean, that just shows how much we all love and value email, right? And this is not surprising at all for me. I know I spent a lot of time on email in my previous job, so So yeah, this is in line with expectations, but a great data point to have. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, thank you, audience. Right, let me just bring the next question in. How often in the last month did you wish you had known something earlier than you did? Fantastic. What a great question. Okay, you should be able to see that now. So not at all, a few times, at least once a week, or every day. Okay, we got 100% vote on that again. Thank you. I'm going to share that. Any comments, guys, on that one?
Yep. No surprises here either. I would have been very surprised if anybody had answered with not at all.
No, well, hopefully that's whetted the appetite for the next two. Okay, so we got two very similar questions here, and I'll just spell out the difference here. It's you and they, and I'll just let me run the first question here. How long does it take you to identify the correct individual to give them the information they need so that they can action it? You should be able to see that now. So are we talking minutes? Are we talking hours, days, weeks? Nearly 100% again. This is a record. Wow. Just one or two more. Wow, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Okay, let me close that, share it. So 56% said minutes, 44% said hours. Brilliant. Torsten, is that what you thought? Matt?
Certainly that there's a large percentage with hours, yes. I wonder if people have interpreted this as you know, there's this one person, or you know, especially in client interactions, finding out who the right person on the client side is that they need to get to, which can take days, right? That's not always accomplished in hours, but yeah, other than that, this makes sense to me.
Sure. Okay, and the final question is along similar lines. How long does it take you to identify the correct individual to get the information you need from them so that you can action it? You should be able to see that on your screens now. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what used to drive me round the bend. So 75% say hours, 25% say days. Okay.
Right. That sounds like in line with the.
Isn't it, guys?
Let me share that.
It's a bit of a disconnect, huh?
I think so.
Correct.
Yeah, there's a statement come in. Thanks, Fran, for the statement. Pandemic has increased digital exchange of information. Thank you. Okay, so let me hide that, and we'll move on to the next part of the session. Okay. I'm going to hand over to you. Torsten, you should now be the presenter.
All right. All right. Yes, I am. Select the right video. Oh, the right screen rather. You should now be seeing the title slide. Is that right? A hand coming out of an ocean of data.
Yes.
All right. Good. So So this is going to be super quick in terms of slides, but I think it's important to set the stage. So construction has a number of key problems, and I mean, I don't need to tell you, you guys know this. 77% of projects are late, causing $1.5 trillion of damage and almost 500 million sick days due to stress. And then, what's the cost of this? Our customers, project managers and finance leaders in project management consultancies, clients and contractors have told us that it's thousands of disconnected documents across dozens and dozens of fragmented tools. But wait, how can something as mundane as disconnected documents cause this type of damage? Well, you know this. Unforeseen things happen on complex projects. And the more complex the project, the harder it is to react on time. Because with some things, the impact only becomes clear over time with potentially grave consequences. And of course, it's a project manager's job to detect those things early and act. But that's hard. And the way this challenge is currently handled, that's what we see in our customers, is by writing everything down in emails and early warning notices, daily diaries, weekly reports, meeting notes, and so on and so forth. But no project manager in the world can read all this information, even if they had access to all of it. And the means of differentiating between critical and irrelevant information, I mean, they're insufficient at best. In many cases, they don't even exist at all. So what's the result? The result is that missing that tiny detail today can lead to substantial delays and cause millions of damage in the future. And the awareness that this can happen at any point in time causes significant stress and a major mental health problem across the entire industry. So in short, a project manager's job is stressful. There's a lot of pressure, and inevitably, costly mistakes are made. So what do project managers need then? They need something to direct their attention, something that allows them to focus on the 1% of topics that cause 99% of the damage. And that's what we're building. For construction managers, for construction project managers who have problems managing fragmented information and avoiding costly delays, Hivemap advises them what to focus on and why. And unlike existing tools, Hivemap builds knowledge graphs from unstructured data to deliver 100% risk prediction performance. And just to add a little bit of flavor to this, this is the last slide. On a recent proof of concept with the biggest general contractor in the Middle East across 21 projects, Hivemap has predicted every single delay. And project managers missed 12%, which on a $100 million project leads to $10 million in damage. Hivemap can add an additional $3.5 million to the project's bottom line. And for our customers, this means that they can either continue getting stressed by guessing what's critical, continue subsidizing project losses with cash flows from future projects, or they can use Hivemap, have critical issues flagged in advance, and grow profit by 90%. And we now wanted to share a demo video, but we had some audio problems with it. So instead, Stuart, would you mind sharing the YouTube link? So I would ask every attendee to just click on the link and watch that. It's a 2-minute video. We've chosen the shorter one. To watch that video on their own computers, and we'll reconvene here in 2.5 minutes.
It's in the chat box if everybody can see that. Give me the thumbs up if you can see that. Torsten, can you see it in the box?
I can see it, yes.
Okay, let's just see. Yes, Anthony, thanks for that. Yeah, thank you. Okay, thanks very much. I think everybody's watching it now, or watched it. Hand over now, Torsten. Yep.
Yep, that's it. So I think I'm hoping that the handful of slides and the video demo should give everybody a decent sense of what we're building. So yeah, I'd hand it over to you, Stuart, and to kick off the panel.
Okay, great. 1 second. Just share my screen. Okay, can I bring the panelists back in? Paul, we've got Paul with us. Matt, Nick, everybody's there.
Hi, everyone.
Okay.
Hi, folks.
So, hi, Paul.
Hiya.
Hi, Nick. Hi, Matt.
Hi, Stuart.
Okay, so fantastic. Thanks very much, Torsten. I don't know why we couldn't get the video to play the sound, but I think everybody's got it. And I will include the link in the send out afterwards. The link, I've just pasted it into one of the slides so people can revisit it afterwards. But I've got a number of questions, and what I've got to say is thanks very much for all those questions that were sent in beforehand. We've had questions from all over the place. I mean, UK, Taiwan, US, North America, South America, Canada, Greece, Poland, UAE, India, Russia, Germany. We've had them from everywhere. So brilliant. Thanks very much for those questions. And we've managed to put the majority of the questions, some of them overlapped, some of them are duplicated, but what we've done, we've put them in order, and that's not going to stop you sending questions in now. If you've got questions that you've thought of while we've been presenting, then please use the questions box, send them in. But I've got the first question here, and I'm going to aim it at Paul. Paul, you wrote a blog post about Hivemap. Nick, you were working with them. what have you both got? Why have you both got an interest in Hivemap? What is it? Paul, you go first.
I think one of the things that interested me was almost going back to the first question that you had in your poll, was the heavy reliance that many people have, particularly in project teams, on email. I worked for a software vendor for 9 or 10 years in what's now the CDE space. And it was there was a certain frustration amongst the software developers that we had on our team that people didn't just go to the dashboard to view the latest notifications online. They were often reliant upon getting an email notification or a digest of email notifications once a day, because that was almost their preferred way of working. They'd become indoctrinated into working in an email-based workflow. Whereas, you know, some of the more interesting, to me anyway, some of the more interesting collaboration platforms developed sort of interactive interfaces where you could perhaps share information through a news feed, for example, where the information would have immediate context with previous conversations, and you built up a collective picture of the evolution of a particular issue. And I always felt that was a far more joined up and sensible than trying to rely upon disjointed email conversations. So that was very much one of the reasons that I was interested in Hivemap. The other thing, of course, is the application of artificial intelligence, particularly as it relates to unstructured data. I've spent 2 days this week at UK Construction Week, heard a lot of people on the Digital Construction Hub talk about structured data and the value that that can bring, but much less conversation about how people might be able to interpret semi-structured or unstructured data and get intelligence from that. So, you know, it was really addressing the email argument and raising interest in artificial intelligence. They were amongst the two things that really attracted me, got me interested in having that first conversation with Matt and his colleagues at Hivemap.
Okay, Paul, yeah, thanks. Interesting about emails. I mean, emails can generate threads that can go on, and often you can't find the information you're looking for. So you've got to go back to the original, the originator, if you like, and ask the question. And often they've forgotten. So yeah, it really makes sense. Nick, can I come to you now and ask you what got you interested?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, it was two things really. The first one is obviously about how much time I used to spend on emails, communications, reports, and what it was saying. So for me, the interpretation of data, I mean, we all have a lot of data, lots of data points, and data on its own is unstructured data is just, it doesn't really tell a story. What I think is really interesting with what Hivemap is doing is that, as you may have seen in the video, is that it uses the data that you have available to essentially tell you a story, and it gets you to the insights that you need to derive much quicker. The other thing is also in terms of what we use with data historically, at least in what I've seen professionally, data is often used as either a current or a retrospective exercise. So either we use it for looking back at how things were done, benchmarking, or what's happening today. It is not very often that we use it also to predict the future, and this is where I think that there is tremendous potential with the latest technologies to essentially predict when things are going to go wrong before they go wrong. And as you will have seen on the slides, there is a huge economic benefit to that, and both an effort benefit in terms of hours wasted personally on trying to find the root cause or the issue of something, when I can have a tool tell it to me. That's just less time that I need to spend on it. So I think those are two really big points for me about what Hivemap is doing and the potential it has.
Brilliant. Well, thanks, Paul. Thanks, Nick, for that. The next question I've got here, I've got a few to get through, and yeah, please keep them coming, guys. The audience, thanks very much for what you've sent so far. Keep them coming in. The next one I've got here is there is a lot of data on construction projects, and even more is collected through what we now know as sensors. We've obviously got drone technology, smartphone apps, etc. In companies that use lots and lots of different apps and tools, what are the challenges you see? I'll open that to anybody. Who wants to take that one? Paul, was that you? You put your hand up?
Yeah, I think I listened yesterday to a speaker at UK Construction Week, Simon Evans from Arup, who's also involved with the Digital Twin initiative. And he highlighted the growing use or growing importance of the Internet of Things and how that provides an element of connectivity for all of the sensors that you might have to provide you with real time, or at least in his, he used the phrase right time view of the information that was needed. And he highlighted also at the same time that this is streaming information. Often you don't need to see lots of individual data points just as they arise. It's more about having that dashboard view and having software algorithms perhaps trained to alert you when something goes out, exceeds a particular tolerance that you're interested in. So it's using, the opportunity is there to use technology to support you. Have intelligent agents supporting your monitoring of all of that data as it comes in from all of those sensors.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Thank you for that, Paul. Anybody else want to pitch in on that one?
I would add one thing on my end. What I've seen a lot is people are hungry for data today, but not all data is created equal. We talk a lot about real-time data, etc. But on projects, you don't necessarily need to know what's happening all the time, especially, for example, during the construction process. You don't need to know what's happening every minute. What you need to have is the right data, and to Paul's point, at the right time, and what is it telling you, so that you can then take corrective actions. So having something that can kind of pre-select the data for you or tell you which data is most important is of paramount importance.
Sure. Anybody else want to say anything, Torsten, Matt?
Yeah, I'll add in something a little bit about this actually. So there's been a great proliferation of sensors, drones, cameras around a lot of construction sites over the last few years, and that's great. It adds a lot of data, a lot more insight as to what's going on. But it's missing the fundamental fact that these sites have had sensors for decades, and they walk around the site with a clipboard. They have two legs, they have a hard hat, and they record everything that's going on. And they record that in your daily diaries, your QA reports, email communication, WhatsApp message, and all that stuff is just lost. It's lost to the ether. And really, the basic premise of Hivemap is really we can tap into that data, and actually we can structure that unstructured communication and draw some real insights into it. So Hivemap is really about bringing together the existing processes that you have around unstructured data with some of the quantified structured data that you're getting through sensors, alongside your things like schedules and the like as well. So yeah, Hivemap sits at the center of this proliferation of data.
Okay, thanks for that, Matt. Can I just ask a question now? So those companies that I would describe as laggards and maybe blackguards that want to continue to use the old school methods, so they've got a pen and a book. Are we saying that those people are going to be left behind, or have we got a fix for that? Are we able to mount that, sort that challenge and use that information? Because that's what's driven the industry in the past. Yes, we should be moving to digital, but there's still people who like to do it their way because their way is best. What are we saying? Are we saying we can do that?
So that is, pretty much off-the-shelf sort of technology really now. Optical character recognition, where you can take a photo and then scan the words out of that photograph. It's yeah, like I say, it's off-the-shelf type technology. So
yeah, okay,
if people want to keep using pen and paper, that's fine.
yeah, okay. Okay, so the next question I've got now for Elaine, either Torsten or Matt, we've got, how do you best manage the security of the data? I know you touched on a little bit, but guys, who wants to go first?
Do you want me to take it, Torsten, or do you want to take it?
So you can take whatever you prefer.
Okay, I'll delve into it. I'm the CTO, so data security is very much my my bread and butter. So rest assured, all the data in the Hivemap platform is encrypted at rest and in transit. That basically means it's the same level of security you experience with your online banking. User access is controlled via a password, and permissions can be set by you, the user. Our platform is scanned multiple times every month for any vulnerabilities or any security tests, and that's all part of our sort of software review processes. So every time there's a new change to our software, we go through a whole process of making sure we've got all the security tests. So, you know, folks can be confident that Hivemap is safe and secure in the way it's designed and the way it's constantly tested. We recently obtained ISO 27001 certification for how we manage our information with security, and we're happy to go into more detail and open ourselves up to a more in-depth deep dive from IT teams to help them build confidence if folks are interested in giving Hivemap a spin. Torsten,
yeah, just to add to that. Yeah, just to add to that. So we have gone through that exercise with multiple global customers by now, and they have really pushed us to, well, for obvious reasons, to ensure that we have our I's dotted and our T's crossed, and so we're very experienced, and we're super happy to go through that process with you.
Okay, thanks, guys. Keep the questions coming in the audience. We've got couple of statements, a few questions here. Anthony, thanks for this. Death by email from a CDA provider is a pet hate in the construction industry. I'll agree with that. But the people that moan the most are the ones I call fence sitters, generally don't drive the change. Fair enough, I agree with that one. Francis, thanks very much. You've sent in a few questions here. I'll just pick out the one at the top at the moment. Communications equals people to machines to, I can't see the rest of that. Hang on a minute. People and even machine to machine. Yeah. Okay. Unstructured data is more than email, i.e. SMS, CAD drawings, graph, voice, images, voice and data, voice data and more. Does Hivemap capture this unstructured data? I think what you've said already is in a roundabout way. Yes, it does. Anything else you want to add to that? Because there was a fair old list there of everything through CAD's drawings and everything else. Yeah. Guys, anything else you want to add to that?
I think there is. I was going to say one of these solutions I saw at UK Construction Week, and it's another company I've written about. Is a company called Evercam, they've got webcams, so we're dealing with video footage, and they've got artificial intelligence applied to the video footage, where they've got image recognition, object recognition, so they can track people movements across site, they can track vehicle movements in and out of site, and do what would otherwise be quite rudimentary counting exercises. So they can track the number of vehicles removing waste, taking perhaps material to landfill, or moving infill material from embankments to cuttings, from cuttings to embankments, for example. So you know that they can keep an eye on, for example, people movements around a site, checking that they are remaining COVID-19 compliant, for example, or that they're simple things like wearing PPE. So we're beginning to see artificial intelligence being applied to that, you know, sometimes quite complex items that might previously have been done by the man on two legs with a clipboard. But you know, we've now got a video aid to help that process.
Yeah. I mean, added to that, Paul, there's a few other health and safety observations that can take place, particularly when you're looking at the condition of some of the workforce. We don't have to often know, we haven't known in the past, the condition of an individual until he's not very well, or she's not very well, whoever. And I think some of the opportunities now can monitor and intervene or help intervene. So yeah, I agree. So the next question I've got here is, do you offer trials? That's a question for Hivemap, obviously.
Yes, we do.
Okay, that's all.
We do. Yeah.
Okay. And
you can. Sorry, just to add to this, Stuart, are you passing on contact information or well, if not, our website is hivemap.io. So just go there and leave your email, and we'll get in touch with you if you're interested.
Yeah, we'll follow up with those that have expressed an interest afterwards. I did ask a series of questions in the registration, and for that purpose, because people will want to get involved. But of course, they might change their view, and whilst they said later, they might want to say now after seeing and listening to what you've had to say. So we will follow up with everybody afterwards if that's what they want. Can you talk about the predictions case study that you've done? And that's again Torsten and Matt.
Torsten, do you want to take this, or how do you want to lead this?
Up to you. Can we have a few slides on that, but I'm not sure if it makes sense to share those now, just to do it verbally.
Okay.
Maybe
we can send them afterwards if you like. If
okay.
That helps, we could do it as a PDF.
Maybe let's just share the high level story for now to be able to address more questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so the predictions we ran, basically we took 21 projects from one of our customers, and that particular customer records every week a list of things that are bothering them on the project, so a bulleted list of text summarizing what major concerns they have on each project. Similarly, each week they recorded new delays, and the causes of those new delays. And what we did, we fed both the delays and the concerns into the Hivemap engine, and we correlated the concerns with the delays. We got a knowledge graph looking at the entities in that graph and how they were connected. We made predictions of where new connections between these entities in the knowledge graph would occur, and as a consequence, we could sort of predict whether a new delay was likely to occur on a project. Except we were doing it 2 weeks ahead of schedule, so we managed to make a prediction 2 weeks out, basically. And in all of those projects, so across these 21 projects, there was around about 480 project weeks, if you like, so a number of weeks across all these different projects. And Hivemap managed to capture all of the delays, so no delay was missed. Anything else you'd add on to that, Torsten?
I think what's really important to point out here is again to really drive home the fact that no delay was missed, whereas in reality 12% of delays were missed. And of course, the audience will know that if you have something that is on the critical path or has a high cruciality, if it's something where you miss an access window, 1 week delay can turn into a much longer delay with regards to the delivery date, right? So we're speaking about potentially saving millions of dollars just through predicting one delay and enabling the project managers and planners to act early on.
Sure. Okay, more questions. Where should I store my data?
Wherever it is right now.
Okay.
So Matt can jump in on this, but essentially we can access pretty much all the data that's in the cloud. Obviously, if you give us permission, and as mentioned, all your data that access is entirely secure and you're controlled at 100%. And we can, even if you're interested in an on-premise solution, we can even talk about that, although that's slightly more complicated. So ideally in the cloud, but we can make anything work, is the short answer.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, I know you touched on this a little bit, but how do you organize unstructured data into data standard formats like COBI, IFC, BIM, etc.?
Yeah, okay.
Let
me turn that question around a little bit, really. This question to me seems a little bit about looking at data inputs and data outputs. So if we first of all think about inputs, so Hivemap currently reads PDF, Excel, PowerPoint, Word documents, Outlook emails, and we're also developing an integration with Primavera. We've also got on the roadmap for integrations with Aconex, PlanGrid, Asite, WhatsApp. So to the question that came through earlier about SMS, yeah, we get that actually. You know, one of the most well-used tools on most sites is actually WhatsApp or SMS. So yeah, trying to build in sort of that integration as well. And there's a whole host of others. So, you know, if there's a tool that you want to use, it's highly likely that we've already got it on the roadmap anyway. So if you're keen and you use a particular product, then just reach out. We can have a talk. It's probably on our roadmap. And these are all inputs, right? These are all unstructured data inputs, which Hivemap reads and converts into what we call triples. So a triple is basically a grammatical construct of subject, object, predicate. So, well, that's just fancy language for two entities tied together by a specific relationship. So every time somebody says something, it's usually about two things and how they're related, right? And that's what Hivemap's reading, and it's ingesting that to get a handle on that. And we can structure that representation, those triples, those entities, those items that are connected together. We can structure those and start to make predictions. So we can start to summarize the project activity. We can start to link details across documents, and we can predict sort of likely future project activity. So that's really all about the input data. And I think the question you actually asked, Stuart, was more about output data.
Yeah.
So, yeah, output currently in Hivemap, as you saw on the demo, is through the status feed, it's through search results, it's through the navigable map that you can explore to find the details. But when it comes to outputs in standard data formats, such as COBI or IFC, for instance, then we're keen to hear more from users as to where we should actually focus. You know, which format should we focus on? And maybe by way of an example, if I go into a sort of a BIM example, you might look at the triples I was referring to earlier and how they explain, let's say, a particular fit-out concept, design, delivery, and configuration, and tie that into the BIM model upon handover, right? And then in turn, we can link to the structured data associated with the contractor who completes the fit-out. So everything from essentially concept all the way through to usage is fundamentally linked. And we can export that in a COBI format, an IFC format, whatever. That's the simple part. The magic really is in linking the details across all these different steps in the process. So, you know, that's a real clear application of Hivemap's technology. So if folks want to come and play BIM with us, then, you know, let us know.
Brilliant. Thanks, Matt. I got a question from Anthony here that's just come in. This is about duplicate information. How does the system manage duplicate information? I think you might have touched on it a little bit earlier, but can you answer that for Anthony?
Yeah. So, I mean, what does he mean by duplicate information? If it's an exact copy, then it will recognize it as an exact copy, and it will disregard the copy. If it's two people saying the same thing twice, well, that's actually really useful intelligence. You know, if people keep saying the same thing again and again and again, that's a really loud signal. So, yeah, I think it's understanding what that question actually means. What's behind that question?
Okay. Okay. So Anthony's come back immediately. Thanks for that. I mean, multiple touch points from different tools.
Yeah. So I would say that is a duplication and therefore a louder signal. Okay.
Thank you for that. Anthony, hopefully that answers your question. I'll move on to the next question. Can you clean data? If so, how? We generate so much data and don't often know what to do with it. That's a question for either Torsten or Matt.
So cleaning is one of the first steps that we actually do in the Hivemap process. And as far as text data, language data is concerned, punctuation, white spaces, multiplicity. For example, crane versus cranes, typos, all of that is managed before we do any downstream analysis.
Okay. And the other question I've got here, thanks, Fran, you've sent a few more in, but I'm just going to read this one here. AI requires good quality data to give meaningful results. How do I know which unstructured data is good for AI and which is not? That's a question from Kevin, and I know you sort of answered it a little bit in 6, but Torsten, Matt, anybody want, Paul, Nick, anybody want to come in on that one?
I think the way that we're, Matt, feel free to jump in, but the way that we are addressing it from a 30,000-foot view is that we're not asking you to select which data you put into Hivemap. You should think of Hivemap as something that always runs in the background, something help that always has your back, right? So it essentially analyzes everything and then alerts you to what's going on, right? Ensuring that you don't miss anything. Now, the question was, how can you repeat the question, Stuart? What was exactly the wording of the unstructured bit?
Okay, let me start again. AI requires good quality data to give meaningful results. How to know which unstructured data? How do you know which unstructured data is good for AI and which is not?
So maybe I could jump in on that one a little bit as well. So it's a little bit linked back to the question I think that came from Anthony about duplication, right? So all data is good data. Just some of it is more useful, right? So I think it's just back to Nick's point earlier that not all data is equal, and yeah, some data is messy. But if people keep saying the same words again and again and again, then actually those words are locked in messy sentences and messy data. You start to lift the signal out of the noise, right? So when it comes to unstructured data, I would say that all data is valuable in some form or another, and that's essentially what Hivemap is doing. It's pulling out that signal, that structure in the unstructured data.
Yeah. Okay.
I think another really important point to point out here is, and I'm not sure if that's meant with the question, but generally we all know this. If you have a machine learning model, the more data you have, the better your data is, the more relevant your data is, the better your output of the model will be. And junk in, junk out. What's important to note here is that what we're doing is not your traditional machine learning in the way that everybody kind of understands it. We're using, as part of it, a form of machine learning called unsupervised learning, which means that we can get started from a cold start. We don't need high quality data to get started with. It essentially means we can read text and Hivemap can interpret it, pull out the triples, pull out the relationships as Matt has described it, and present something sensible back to you. So that is, to a degree, less dependent on the quality of the information that comes in. Or back to what Matt said, it takes the information that it has and presents results back on the back of that.
Okay. I've got another question here. Again, this is from Fran. AI companies are changing the game with unstructured data, especially those in NLP, which is natural language processing. Dashboards of data will die. Intelligent analysis of data and actionable summaries will become the norm. And thanks, Fran, you've shared a link. I'll try and capture that information and send that out. That looks quite interesting. I think it's just an observation, I think, but any comments you might have, guys, feel free. I have got one point I'm going to make here, which, again, Anthony has come in. Am I right in thinking of Hivemap as a modern day Enigma machine? Thanks, Anthony. Guess it is, isn't it? Are you cracking the code?
I'm going to get a t-shirt with that on.
Yeah, Anthony says he wants some spoils from that one. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay, Fran, you mentioned about emails getting smarter. Microsoft Outlook uses a Corona extension to summarize and extract to do from the follow-ups and previous emails. I think that's just that's not a question, it's observation. Thanks for that, Fran. Okay, well, listen, guys, we've had a whole bunch of really interesting questions. We're getting near the end, and what I'd like to do is firstly go around the room and ask if there's any more comments, and then I'm going to do some thank yous and closeouts if I may. So I'll start off with Torsten at the top there, and just circulate round. So Torsten, over to you, and then we'll progress round.
Yeah, maybe one last thought back to, I think it was Fran's comment, just that dashboards will die, and actionable insights in whatever form, in a form in which it effectively presented and easy to action on, that's going to be the future. That's absolutely right. Whether they're presented in a dashboard or in any other form, or as Paul pointed out earlier, some people just want an email digest, and that's essentially the beauty of building software, right? You talk to users, you would like to understand how they work, and you try to not get them to change the way they work, but you actually try to integrate with their daily workflow. If you like to use emails, then yeah, please, by all means, continue using emails. You don't have to move away from that, but absolutely not. What we're trying to build is something that elevates you, that empowers you to be better as a project manager or a planner, while causing as little friction as possible in your daily workflow.
Okay, Matt, over to you.
Just really reiterating Fran's point again, really. Yeah, I mean, Torsten's already done it, but yeah, smart dashboards, I think, is what you're talking about, Fran. I think things that really generate insights and say, hey, did you know about this? And you go, oh, no, I didn't. Or maybe you just say, yeah, I did know about that, and you just miss it. But yeah, smart kind of virtual Jarvis, right? Iron Man Jarvis, who basically sort of says, have you done this today?
Yeah.
So without doubt, that's the way the world is going.
Absolutely. Paul, anything?
Yeah, I was struck yesterday in a session, again, Digital UK Construction Week. They had a session about the future of digital, and there's a company, Edify, founded by Martin McDonnell, from used to be at still is at Soluis, and he was talking about the metaverse and the sort of convergence of lots of both enterprise type software tools, but also the power of technology that comes from the gaming world, and saying that that's the area for the big change yet to come, because that's offers more and more ways in which different types of data can be assimilated and interpreted, both by human beings and by machines, to provide you with perhaps sometimes a lot more immersive experience of data that's going on either around you personally or around a project. And I was quite struck by some of the things that he showed. But at the basis of all of this was rich flows of data, where we've got machines supporting the human being to make sense of it all. So I've started now reading up about metaverses. I'll be continuing to do so for a while, I think.
We should retire to the pub and talk about that for a while, Paul. Anyway, talking about the pub, we'll all be in the pub. I know, Torsten, you're probably there already, but because you're a few hours ahead of us. But Nick, I know it's breakfast time for you, but have you anything to add to what we've discussed already?
Thanks, so yeah, it kind of is almost lunchtime, actually.
Okay.
I would just say that, I mean, generally, and it's going to sound a bit cliche, but knowledge is power. And when you are a project manager that relies on lots of data sources, knowing more makes you more powerful, makes you more dangerous, and makes you better at what you do. So try to find the sources of knowledge that are the most useful and that make the best use of your time. And if there is a tool that kind of gets you there quicker, then I mean, if it were me, I would take it.
Fantastic. Okay, well, I've got one more comment that's just arrived from Anthony. Thanks, Anthony, again. The comment is, I suspect Alan Turing would be very proud. I would welcome a further discussion about the potential of this platform, or he would. Maybe you would as well, Anthony.
With that as well.
Sorry, Matt?
Can I get a t-shirt with that on as well, please?
Oh yeah, we're just agreeing licensing terms, but absolutely, yeah. But I want one as well. In fact, I'd like a t-shirt and a sweatshirt. But yeah, fantastic. Okay, well, thanks everybody. I want to just close out. I want to first off thank our sponsor, O2. Without them, we couldn't put on the fantastic webinars that we've done for the last, I don't know, 19 months. I'll invite everybody to join the conversation. Yes, we do record the sessions. They are available a couple of days afterwards on the website. You'll find them in the discs on the homepage. Follow us on Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn. And the next session we've got is on the 29th of October, and that's with Navis. And that is the reality capture platform. I can't even say it, Ivion Core, for AEC professionals using the VLX data. So tune in for that one. And something else I need to share with you as well is we've got a long-awaited community day. We haven't seen anybody for 2 years, but getting together on the 14th of October in Staines. Anybody who wants to come to that, just drop me an email. And I'll follow up with you. And the other thing I want to say as well is community days for next year. These are in-person community days. They are on the 24th of February, the 9th of June, and the 6th of October. Now, one of those, I'm guaranteed, will be at the JCB World Headquarters. So if anyone wants to come along to that, we'll get to see some hydrogen plant, electric plant, and a few other things that will, it will spark your interest. So the only thing to say is thank you to everybody. Thanks to Torsten for my relentless, or putting up with my relentless requests for information and follow-ups. Paul, thanks very much for joining at the 11th hour. Nick, thanks for spoiling your breakfast to join us. And thanks, Jerry, for supporting the generation of the webinar. So thanks to all, and I wish everybody a great weekend, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much.
Well done, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.